Hello everyone, welcome to Down and Dirty. I'm Larry, and today we're going to install a CavFab rear bumper. It's a full width wraparound bumper for full protection of the back end of the LJ here. I've already coated it with a bed liner, spray on bed liner, but along the way I want to drill a couple holes and I'm going to install some DCS V2 lights. They're actually designed for installing in the hood of a TJ LJ. They go right in the holes, existing holes of the hood of those Jeeps, but I purchased those. I want to put them in the back bumper and want to tie those to one of my auxiliary switches so I can see behind myself, trail riding, rock crawling, what have you, backing up, or just if you need to help a person behind you spot. So I'm going to have those just tied to an auxiliary switch so I can turn them on and off whenever I want to, and we're going to be installing those in the bumper at the same time. Alright, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Let's get started. Alright, so here we are. I'm using milk crates. Something I just have laying around, actually just full of a bunch of, probably mostly junk. It worked out perfect for height. Set the bumper on, stable enough, don't worry about it falling off. This is what we're going to use, and we'll slide it up to the bumper towards the Jeep. So what we have to do, you can see those two holes there. You actually have a plate welded on there that goes under the bumper. And then your bracket right here with the two slotted holes goes to the side of the frame. We have that on both sides. We need to line these up with the frame so we can get the bolts put in them. And we also have this notch for the trailer hitch. I need to make sure it's lined up. I pulled my little rubber plug out of there so it wasn't going to be in the way because it was definitely going to cause an issue. I've had some of this blue painter's tape on here. So as I'm getting it into position, I've noticed one person, it's going to be a bit of an issue wiggling it in without these edges hitting right here. So put some tape on there to help protect it. All right, we kept getting hung up. Couldn't figure out what was hanging up on this side, but it's the actual duff tank. This is a diesel. And it was catching on this bracket here that bolts to the bottom of the frame. So I had to wedge a screwdriver in there because the bumper is going to have to go between, basically it's the duff tank skid, I guess you'd call it, and the bumper. So I wedged that screwdriver in there and I finally got the bumper to go in on this side because it wasn't wanting to go. The other side would go in, this side kept stopping. And I had that unbolted along with, because I have a tow package, so you had this bracket on there that has your plugs for plugging in your trailers. Well, I knew that had to come down. And I thought that was hanging low enough, but it was not. So I had to wedge a screwdriver in there so it would slide in between. So that's what's been holding me up. Now we can get it pushed all the way in. See, this thing will go all the way in now. It's much better already. It's underneath so we can get some of these bolts started. I can see this side, this bracket's lining up. I can see the other side, I can see threads through the slotted holes, so let's see if we get some bolts stuck in there. All right, so I got the bumpers on with 2 bolts on the bottom. It's a very well balanced bumper. I like how you just set it on milk crates. You can set it on anything right here on the bottom, and it just balances and sits there. So now I'm gonna have to get the side frame bolts in, which is actually rather entertaining here. Because there's not a whole lot of room to get your hand in there. You're going to be pretty fun tightening them up as well, but we'll work on getting those bolts put in, and then we'll get everything put back together up underneath. We'll work on getting these side bolts in, which is going to be hard to show because I can hardly get my hand in there, much less the camera. All right, see if I can get my hand up in here. It's going to be feel for the whole thing because I can see them, but not with my hand in there. Bumper here a little bit. Get it lined up. Wow, this one's even worse. I don't know. Stand on your head, twist sideways, upside down, put your tongue out. There we go. Wiggle everything around. All right. Bolts to the other side. bottom bolt in over here too. I only have one so far, hold in place. So leave everything fairly loose till you get all of your bolts in. Whew, now we got the stand on your head bolts. Hope you're ambidextrous. So you can do things left-handed as well as right. Because I can, and right now, it's very helpful. Here's that one. Now the bottom one, which is the worst to get to. Hardest to get to. Twist your wrist around backwards. So you don't have to use a ratchet to run them all the way in. It's much easier to be able to turn most of the way in by hand. So make sure that lines up. I've got to make a spacer for this other side. Alright, I got to make a spacer for the other side of that def tank skid. You get that slid up in there. So I'm going to get something made up now. We can finish getting this all bolted up. Alright, so I marked off on our bumper on both sides where I want to put these lights. I'm going to have to use my air drill because my DeWalt is too long to fit under the taillight. I don't want to pull the bumper back off. I don't want to pull the taillight. So anyway, I have a center drill in here. It's what you want to use to start any hole. It's a very rigid bit with a fine point on it, so it doesn't walk off like a normal drill bit will. Let's put it right on your spot. Center punch it first, and then just start drilling. Pilot hole. Okay, now we're using a step bit. It's a 3/8 stud on these lights, so we need a 3/8 hole. Okay, I'm gonna have to clean that out. Problem with the step bit is the step is made for about up to 12 gauge, I guess. This is 3/16, so I'll have to clean that hole up a little bit yet to get the opening all the way down for our 3/8 stud. All right, so I found a stubby 3/8 drill bit in one of my toolboxes. I'm going to use it to finish this hole out. And there's our new V2 light. I just dropped it in the hole. I've got actually putting a rubber washer between this and the bumper. And I'm putting a rubber washer on the opposite side. And then we're going to use a locking nut so this isn't tight because I'd like to be able to move these around as needed if I need to. So just sitting in there right now. That's the V2 light from DCS. They're 1400 lumens, so pretty bright. Okay, right now I'm just using some black touch-up paint that I have to coat this bare metal. Nice thing about these touch-up brushes, you can reach around up underneath, get everything coated back up real well. So we don't have any bare metal. We can let that dry and put the lights in. Okay, so here's a little trick. Got these rubber washers, they have too small of a hole in them. So the best way to make a larger hole in rubber is just take a piece of pipe and I ground it with a die grinder and sharpen the edge up, make a cutting edge, and then just hit it with a hammer and it'll cut right through the rubber. Make sure we get it centered here. Use a block of wood so you don't damage your cutting edge on your pipe. Just like that. From that size of hole to that size of hole. Alright, here's a piece of 3/16 plate I had laying around. Just drilled a hole in it. Painted it all up. And I had to find some longer bolts. These factory bolts that were in there were not going to be long enough by the time they went through everything. So if you got the towing package with those trailer light bracket down there, and a def tank, and the thickness of the bumper. Factory bolts were about a 1/4 inch shorter than these. So I found these laying around. We're going to use these, put them in there. This is the duff tank, I guess you call it skid plate. See where it bolts up to the bumper there on that side. That's still the factory bolt. It's going to be too short. Then over here, this other hole is there's a gap in there. That's where that spacer is going to go up behind that hole to support that side of the duff tank, and also our trailer light bracket right there that has to go up there as well. Spacer slid up in here. But anyway, that bolt started. It's nice this light bracket is actually slotted on the one side, so you can get the one bolt started up in there. And these are definitely plenty long enough now. These factory bolts are way too short to go back up into all this with the thickness of that 3/8 or 3/16 bumper. Okay, now we got that all worked out. We can start tightening this bumper all up. I'm going to tighten the bottom bolts first. All right, we'll go back and forth and just start snugging these up. Make sure the bumper is showing the same distance from body on both sides. All right, I'm going to go do the other side so we get a measurement. All right, so we got that set. All right, got everything torqued down, finished up. So here's our finished CavFab full crawler bumper. You can see our DCS V2 lights there on the corner. I really like this bumper. Everything fit up real nice. All 3/16 steel. Very heavy. And I wanted the full wrap around so it protected the corners on these JLs. They're very vulnerable. So I'm very happy with the finished product. Really like it. It's very nice. Alright, so this concludes this video of installing the CavFab full crawler bumper. And like I said, we installed some DCS V2 lights on the corners of the bumper. That'll be a separate video coming up. Once you get to, we'll do the full installation of that, wiring it into the auxiliary switch and testing them out so you can see how they work. So watch for that upcoming video. So, all right, that concludes this one. Like, subscribe, share. Take care. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.